Right, this video is 8.6, solving linear equations with variables on both sides. So, occasionally you will see questions or linear equations that don't look exactly like the ones we've been doing so far. You might see ones with variables that appear on both sides of the equation. So, in order to do that, we got to remember one thing. In order to solve a linear equation, you must isolate the variable. Okay, isolated, getting it on its own. In order to be able to do that, all variables must be on the same side of the equation. So, if that does not occur, when variables appear on both sides of the equation, undo operations in order to bring them all terms with variables to one side. So that undo, what I mean by that is the opposite, right? So if it is being multiplied, you can divide. Adding, the opposite is subtracting, right? Undo, like what we've been doing in previous videos. Okay, so we'll do a few examples to show you what I mean by this. Okay, first example, very simple one. 3x is equal to 4 plus 2x. Well, look at that. We've got x's on both sides of the equal sign. We got to fix that, so we are going to move them all over to one side. Now, you can move them to either side, it doesn't really matter. You'll start to see as you do them that oftentimes you'll be able to identify that it'll just save a step maybe by moving them one way. So I'm going to do that this time. I'm going to recognize that I think it's going to be easier to move the 2x over to the 3x side. Now we can't just move it over and add it there, we need to undo it. So on the right side right now we have 4 plus 2x. Well, I want to get rid of that 2x over there on the right side and move it over to the other side. So in order to get rid of it on the right side, I'm going to need to undo the operation. Oops, that's the wrong button. I'm going to need to undo the operation by subtracting, right? It's a positive 2x on the right side. I'm going to subtract 2x from that. When I subtract 2x, I had a positive 2x, I've taken it away. It's gone. There's no x's left. All I'm left with on the right side is that 4 that was there before. On the left side now, I needed to, if I subtracted it from one side, I got to do it from the other as well. So now I've got 3x minus 2x. Well, 3x minus 2x, we can combine those. Those are like terms. So 3x minus 2x is 1x, or just x, and x is equal to 4, and that works out really easily. Okay? So we'll make it a little more complicated as we go, and hopefully we can follow along. But really it's the same idea each time. We're trying to bring the variables all on one side and then just proceed like we've been doing in previous videos. Okay, so here we've got some decimals, but otherwise it's a similar type question. Okay, so we're going to move the variables from one side to the other. So I'm going to want to get rid of the variables on the right side and put them on the left side. So I'm going to get rid of it by seeing that it was a plus 0.25x. I'm going to subtract 0.25x. When I do that, that cancels off, but I got to do it to the other side as well. Okay. So now I have 0.5x minus 0.25x. Well, that's 0.25x is equal to 1.6. Okay, then I can try to get x on its own. X is being multiplied by 0.25, so I'm going to divide by 0.25. If I divide by 0.25, that cancels out. I've got to do the same thing over here. Okay, so now I'm going to have x, is all that I was left with on the left side, is equal to 1.6 divided by 0.25. That's actually the same as multiplying by 4. Okay, it works out the same, right? 0.25 is 1/4, so dividing by 1/4 is the same as multiplying by 4 over 1. Okay, so if I do that, 1.6 times 4 is going to be 6.4. Okay, and that will be your answer. Okay, well, let's go a little bit more complicated than that. Okay, well, this one we've got fractions in there, and we've got variables on both sides. looks like a more complicated one. We've got to be careful how we approach it. So we see variables on both sides. Let's just rewrite it maybe in an easier way to deal with it. 1/3 times 2x plus 1 is equal to 1/2 times 3x plus 1. And I'm going to show you a little trick here that might help you deal with some of these, and that is to multiply each side by a number. If I multiply each side by the same number, I haven't changed the value of it at all. So I'm going to choose a number that is a multiple of each of the denominators of the fractions out in front. Okay, and I'll show you why. I'll do it, and then you'll see why I chose to do that. You'll see that either side, we could go back to our last two videos that we've done and either do the distributive property and multiply them out, and that would work. But we're going to show a little shortcut that might make it go a little bit easier. So I'm going to choose the number 6. Okay, and that's because 3 or 6 is a multiple of 3, and it's also a multiple of 2. Okay, so when I multiply both sides by 6, okay, I'm going to multiply 6 times the 1/3 first. 6 times 1/3 works out to 2. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this as 2 times 2x plus 1. And the other side, I'm also going to multiply the 6 by. You've got to make sure you do it to both sides. 6 times half is 3 times that 3x plus 1. Okay, and you see now I've eliminated those fractions. It'll just be easier to work with. So now I can proceed with what I wanted to do, and I'm going to try to get those variables in easier terms to work with. So I'm going to do the distributive property to each side. So this 2 is going to multiply in. I've got 4x plus 2 is equal to, same thing on the other side, 3 times 3x is 9x plus 3. Okay, so we're getting closer. I'll rewrite it up here. Okay. 4x plus 2 is equal to 9x plus 3. Okay. I'm going to try to combine all the variables now. And my preference is to usually use this, move the smaller one over to the bigger one, and that way I keep it positive, right? So I'm going to subtract 4x from this side and from this side, and when I do that, 4x's cancel over there, and I've got 2 is equal to 9x minus 4x was 5x plus 3. Okay, getting closer. And now I got to get the x's on their own. Subtract by 3, subtract 3, those cancel out. I've got 5x is equal to -1. Almost there, just one more step. Okay, and that's going to be getting x all the way on its own. Divide by 5, divide by 5. X is going to be equal to -1 over 5. Okay, that's starting to look fun now, right? We've got a bunch of different steps going on, but you know all of these steps, right? You've done them all in the previous videos. You just got to be careful and apply them. Okay, we've got one more written on the screen here. I'd like you to do that one on your own. You'll see it's quite similar to parts of the previous examples. I think you'll be able to figure it out, and then you can show me once you're done. Okay, hope that's helpful.